He's such a daddy, a zaddy, possibly my baby daddy. I love it. Welcome back to Romancing the Monsters. I'm Em.
Hi, I'm S.
I'm Seth.
And today we are diving into the very first book in the Hathaway series. So we're kicking off our Hathaway Readalong. In case you're new here, which is totally possible whenever we, start up a new series like this, we have actually read the entirety of the Wallflowers series as well, so you can find that on our page in case you are interested in more Lisa Kleypas related content on Romancing the Monsters. But yeah, today we are talking about Mine Till Midnight. This is Cam and Amelia's story. So the, eldest Hathaway daughter with Cam, who is a character that we have met in the Wallflowers series.
Mm-hmm.
And it involves a lot of the characters that we know and love from that series as well. So Steph and I have read these books before, so it is a reread for us. And I'm very excited about that because I never reread these books. And for us, it is once again a first, so we get to experience that with you again, with the Hathaways in this crazy family that they are. So, Steph.
Yeah.
Beyond that, or I guess adding to all this, what is this book about?
All right. Well, the book starts off with basically Amelia, which you already said she's the eldest daughter in the family. She is actually looking for her brother Leo, who is, I guess, the new, is he the Earl of Ramsay?
He's not an
Lord?
Earl.
He's Lord. Let's just go Lord Ramsay. He's he just inherited this title.
Maybe a Viscount.
Oh, yes, he's a Viscount.
I think he's a Viscount.
Yeah. And she's looking for her brother who's gone missing for 3 days. And she kind of runs into Cam Rohan, who we obviously known from Devil in Winter. He's grown up a little bit in this book. He's like on the cusp.
Also the guy who kissed Daisy, remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So her and I guess an adopted brother, Meripen, go to Jenner's thinking her brother's there. And then she kind of feels this instant attraction, or I guess connection, to this tall, dark,
mysterious,
and dangerously handsome Cam. And
bejeweled.
he's just really hot, and they kind of have, like I said, a connection. And
who wouldn't? First of all, Cam could literally have sexual chemistry with a fucking tree.
Damn, I know. Yeah, this man's so charming.
Yeah, no wonder Amelia fell for it. I don't blame her.
I know, right? Anyways, they rescue Leo. He was in a brothel. Meripen and Cam and Amelia rescue him, and literally, what? Why are you laughing?
You said they rescue him from a brothel. I don't think he needed rescuing.
Well, I mean, he was getting into a fight, so I guess they rescued him from the fight
him
in front
out
of the brothel.
The brothel.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyways, so cut to them actually making it to Hampshire, which is where their estate is. We finally get to meet the Hathaways, which is a family of 5. So we got Leo, Amelia, Winifred, Poppy, Beatrix, and also, I guess, our family of 6, and Meripen, who is, like I said, an adopted brother, basically. He kind of lives with the family, but not. He's, like, on the cusp, like, he's, like, an outsider looking in, but, like, still, like, a part of the core family. And Leo, who's supposed to be the eldest brother and supposed to be the one making all the decisions, is kind of, like, going through his own grief at the moment. And he kind of spending all the money, and the house needs repairs, and the money is just, like, going away, dwindling away. So Amelia has kind of taken on this role of, like, mother hen, or, like, parenting her siblings, because some of them are... Yeah. Beatrix is 15, so she's a bit younger and needs some more, like, I guess, like, guidance in life. Mm-hmm. And anyways, so she goes on a walk in Hampshire, and we know Stony Cross is also in Hampshire. We know Westcliffe's house is in Hampshire. So she's on a little walk, and she almost gets killed by a rocket. And who does she meet there? She meets Cam Rohan again.
They were just setting out explosives in the forest, as one does, you know?
As one does.
As one
Stony
does.
Cross.
No danger at all in that. At all.
Yeah. So anyways, story continues on. Cam and Amelia further, I guess, develop this attraction towards one another, but Cam is very much set on, you know, going back to his Romani roots and, you know, living under the stars, and Amelia is very independent and set on not getting married. That's where their story is, basically.
So, let's start with the person who has not read this book before, shall we? How did you feel about this book?
This book.
Uh-oh.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Did you?
Yes.
Right? I'm like, oh.
No, I enjoyed it. I loved Cam. I loved Amelia.
You fucking hate Leo. I can tell.
No, actually,
You don't?
I
Really? Why would you hate
Leo.
Leo?
Yes.
I'm
No.
surprised. Because you're not meant to like him here.
But there's something there.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
there's the
Yeah.
tortured soul, so I'm there. I'm here
Yes.
for it. So I'm intrigued to read more about him. But yeah, I enjoyed the story. I will say that the connection between Amelia and Cam, I read up until like 60% and I realized like I don't feel the connection. There was
Okay,
just
yeah.
something that it wasn't clicking, it wasn't connecting. And I think it kind of had to do with Cam and Daisy.
Interesting. She's still holding on to that, huh?
I know, right?
Like that kind of stayed in the back of my head, and it just kind of made me think like, okay, is Cam the type to just kind of fall for anyone? Because he sees Daisy for the first time and like right away they kissed. He sees Amelia for the first time and like they kissed.
Right
like,
away they kiss.
He couldn't help himself, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of his MO, you know, like kiss a
Yeah.
lady, you know, because he's attracted to her in the moment. Like he lives in the moment.
Yeah.
Very
and,
much so.
And I don't know if that kind of just didn't vibe with me.
S is gonna go on those like Reddit forums being all like anti Amelia and Cam.
there was just something wasn't clicking.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
I can see that as well.
It's never been one of my favorites from Lisa Kleypas. Again, I mean, I say this every time. A bad book or like a less good book by Lisa Kleypas is honestly some other author's best book.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say I kind of agree. I think they're great characters separately.
mm-hmm.
Like, I like them individually, but together, I don't know, because for me, having read the rest of the series, I can remember how eventually, you know, they become sort of like the mom and dad of this family in a way. So they are very present throughout the books, and you grow very fond of them and of their bond together. And I do think it continues to develop, but I can totally see how in this first book, like, I don't think I particularly feel it either.
Like there wasn't anything special for them.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's because a lot of this book, and this is something interesting that I would like for us to discuss, a lot of this book stands on very, like, mythical aspects, like the supernatural, the, like, it's fate, it's destiny, it's very much that, which, you know, nothing wrong with that, but you don't expect that from a historical romance. Like, there are legitimate paranormal elements to this story.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of their bond was kind of left explained that way. You know, oh, it was fated type of thing. Like, we were destined for each other, but it's like, okay, but show me how, even if they hadn't been destined for each other, they would have found each other anyway. Like, how are they compatible as human beings, as lovers, beyond that, you know?
No, I agree with that. And so like you guys, I also agree this is like not the best story I've read by Lisa Kleypas, but it certainly isn't the worst. And like you said, her books are all like good. But you brought in the paranormal aspect. That was something I really enjoyed with the story, because I feel like that's something that I feel like a lot of people could maybe relate to in terms of, like, I'm talking about Laura and like her presence in the story. And just the idea of like not being able to let someone go. I feel like that was a really strong like I guess theme in this book, and I really really enjoyed that aspect. But in terms of Amelia and Cam, we never really got to see his like acceptance of his emotions. I feel like no, we saw his acceptance, but we never saw like his struggle. And I feel like you said, it was a lot of like fate and like talking of like meant to be together because fate decreed it.
But it makes sense for his character, right? Like, we have to mention that, like,
Yeah.
with his background, his culture, etc. Like, it makes sense that this is a part of this book because it's what his people believe in, you know.
But it left for me as a reader to not fully grasp their connection. Like as said, I feel like it kind of just made a switch, like a quick 180, and then I was like, oh, okay,
Sure.
okay, he's choosing to settle down and marry and forget all about, you know,
Yeah.
living under the stars and like living the way of his people.
Yeah, which is a conversation we can have for sure.
As how did you feel about the introduction to the Hathaways? Like how do
you're meeting so many people in this
yeah,
book, first of
a
all.
lot of people, plus
Yeah.
some animals.
Plus some
Oh
animals.
yeah, the little creature, the little lizard creature. No, I
That's
liked it.
just the first one, girl.
I know.
Oh, there's more. There's gonna
Well,
be
there's
more.
more to
Beatrix
come.
is honestly amazing.
Yeah, I really liked
Yeah.
her. I like Poppy.
You did. Interesting.
I'm really intrigued with Winifred, and Meripen.
Yes.
Really, really
That's
intrigued.
a tortured soul for sure.
Yes, he breaks my heart. I love that man.
Really. So I'm really excited for their book.
He's literally pining his way to the grave.
I know.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
I'm excited to read everybody else's books.
Who are you most excited for right now? Would it be Meripen and Winn?
Yeah, their book for sure.
Well, they're next.
Yeah.
You're in luck. I will say that I didn't dislike the paranormal aspects. I do think at least the contemporary books that I've read by Lisa Kleypas had paranormal elements as well. So it looks like it's something that she really enjoys, and I respect that she probably had a lot of fun adding those into this book. And, you know, she's experimenting with every single one of her books, you know,
Yeah.
throwing in little new things, and this was the thing of this book. And gotta respect that, and I like that for her. And to be honest, it made it feel a little different. So
Yeah.
It did feel different.
No, I
It
agree with
did.
that. And like speaking back on Laura, like the whole idea of her kind of haunting the not family, but like Leo,
Yeah.
and just like being there, like she's just a presence he always feels, and it's like it's
Yeah.
weighing him down. And like you find out later on that he's kind of the one that's keeping her there because he's not letting her go. I just thought that was really interesting, and I liked what it added to the story. I felt like it. I don't know. It just like developed Leo's character in a way that I wasn't expecting, because like legit I forgot everything about this book. I don't remember anything,
Yeah.
and then I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this happened. So yeah, I don't know. I liked that idea, and I love that Cam was able to pick up on him being haunted because of like his own stories that he grew up with,
his
and like
own
everything
ties,
that's happened
yeah,
with
to
him
that.
and like his tribe.
Yeah, it's like a metaphor almost for manifesting things like grief. You know, like
Yeah.
you're feeling them so strongly and you're so unable to let them go that you kind of manifest them in real life, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's her ghost, and it won't leave him alone, and
Yeah.
he's, you know, spiraling down into madness as a result, and it's kind of his own making in a way. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, it is layered, you know. She's not just throwing that in just to be like, ooh, something cool, you know. Like, there is a deeper emotional thing to pull from it, and that makes it worth it to me.
Yeah, and it just made Leo's character, his journey in this book, just so tragic. Like, it's just like, he was young, he fell in love, he was getting married, his life was almost set, and then, like, the scarlet fever just came out of nowhere and killed his fiancée, the love of his life. And, like, he didn't even get to grieve.
And then he brought it back to his own house. He brought it back to Winn, and Winn is sick as a result, you know? Like,
Exactly.
there's guilt involved in that as well,
But
I'm
think
sure.
about it, because not only did he bring it back to his house, he probably didn't even get to go to the funeral or grieve her death.
True.
He was sick. He was, like, feverish.
He
And,
never
like,
got that. At the end of the day, like a funeral, the point, at least for me, is a space to allow you to let that person go.
Yeah, and it's for closure.
And
exactly.
he didn't get that. So he
Yeah.
never got to let it go, you know?
No.
Imagine you're awake 1 minute, living life, loving this woman, and then you wake up the next and she's dead.
I know.
his brain never got to, how are you supposed to reconnect those two parts of yourself and of life when it just feels like there's something missing? Because obviously there is.
Yeah.
So I feel like this book and this, well, okay, I'll just say this book is much darker than the Wallflowers, like already, with all of those themes, because
I agree with that.
You know, Leo, he's trying to kill himself, like constantly.
I know, trigger warning, but
yeah, like suicide is a thing in this book. Even Beatrix, she feels so guilty about these like impulses that she has as a result of, you know, her own tragedies that she's, you know, gone through. She has these impulses that she doesn't understand and doesn't know how to explain, and she feels so bad about them. And she's like, I want to kill myself. I don't want to do this. Like, why do I do this? I don't understand. And you feel so bad, but it's just so much darker in tone.
Yeah.
Yet light, obviously, because, you know, Lisa Kleypas is a master at, you know, combining those two things in a book, where it's like, you know, you get the light, you know, fluffy, sexy, witty stuff, and then you also get like the dark and intense stuff as well mixed in.
And I also feel like, this series, like, where the Wallflowers, they became like a found family, and like slowly they became closer and closer and closer. I feel like this book started off with like family first. You know, like, it's just like a
family first, but a family that's broken.
Yes, but I mean,
Very
like, in the
much
same, like, in the sense where, like, you get everyone's story at the same time, in a way. Like, their story starts when the first book starts, which is why I think I've said this so many times to other people that wanted to pick up certain books in the series. I was like, you need to read from, like, book 1 all the way to the end, because then you're not gonna get all the little tidbits that you get in each book.
Yeah, because I think, just like with the Wallflowers, where it was all about, you know, them finding each other and becoming friends and supporting each other. Here, yes, you start with a family, but it's very much so, you know, they have an arc to go on throughout the series, where they need to reconnect with each other. They need to find each other, because they start out so scattered, and you know, Amelia doesn't know who she can't rely on her brother, who she should be able to rely on. He knows that. He feels guilty about that, but he's also at an emotional point where he doesn't even give a fuck anymore, because he just can't. He's exhausted and, you know, beyond depressed. And, you know, it's like all these things, and they have to find a way to heal each other and heal together as a family.
Yeah, because like their parents died so quickly, like one after the other, and then Amelia just took on this role, and like obviously Laura died, and like Amelia took on this role of like being like the mother figure,
the parent,
the authority figure in this family, and it's like she had to put on the strong front. She couldn't even like lean on her siblings, like her sisters. She just wanted to keep the strong front, and like they all said, you know, you can cry, and then she's like, I'm not, like I'm fine. And like I just feel like that's so heartbreaking for her, and like the only outlet she kind of did have was Cam. I love that he was such a strong character and like so sure of himself that he was able to be that person for her.
That's very much the dynamic of their relationship. It's like, let me take on some of your burden, you know, because obviously Amelia is not just the mother, she's the father in this family as well. She has to make the decisions for this family, but that's scary as hell, and not always possible in a world like the Victorian era, where women have no power, and here you are having to make these decisions for your family, and you're running after your brother who's unavailable emotionally and physically, because he has to be the one to technically make the decisions, because you can't, because you're a woman. It's just such a stressful place to be in, and you have Cam, who comes in and he's willing to take on all of that for her, and you know, take on, you know, some, if not all of the burden, you know, that if he could, he would take all of it, but
exactly. I mean, there's also Meripen as well, that's like kind of doing like the heavy lifting in the family. He's like still part of the family, but like he just works in the background, you know, like he's not her sounding board. He's not like any emotional support. He's just very much there to like look after Winn and just look after like certain other things that takes it off her plate, basically.
Yeah, Meripen's relationship to this family is very ambiguous. It's, well, because he obviously cares about them, but also you get the feeling that he doesn't want to, but he does, and he feels this sense of duty, and mostly towards Winn, but also towards the others, and he's like weirdly territorial over this family, and like it's like he himself doesn't know what to do with it. Like he himself is like battling his like, why do I stay, but also I can't leave.
Yeah,
know?
and I think Cam even like, I don't know if it was Cam, one of them mentioned like, do you have like affection for Amelia? And he was like, ew, no, she's like my sister or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Meripen. How do you guys like, I feel like he very much resembles McKenna in a way, in the sense where like he was found on the street and like he was kind of taken in, but like it stops there. Whereas like, I guess the Hathaways, like the father took him in and like kind of, not adopted him, I wouldn't say adopted him, but like kind of tried to give him a better life in terms of like, they raised him up. He was a part of the family until he backed away when like, you know, any kind of competition between him and Leo would ever come. And like he more so just like took it upon himself to back away and just like be on the outside.
Okay, I have a theory. I'm just going to throw it out there because obviously I haven't reread Winn and Meripen's book.
Okay.
But I think that this may or may not be Lisa Kleypas doing a Wuthering Heights retelling.
No, I know. I always say Meripen and Winn are very much Heathcliff and Kathy.
Yeah.
I always say that. Book 2 is literally Wuthering Heights.
He's a Rom. He was taken into this family. He was very much loved by these parents who weren't his own parents.
Yeah.
And then they die. And, like, obviously that's where, you know, Wuthering Heights kind of goes in a different direction. But I wonder if she was going for that. Because that's so obvious to me. But anyway, we'll see when we read it.
I felt that. And I always say this one's Wuthering Heights. And then, obviously, like I said, Westcliff and Lillian are Pride and Prejudice.
How do you feel about Meripen?
Yeah.
I love him. I freaking love him. I mean, what else is there to say?
Well, there is the fact that him and Cam have the same puka tattoo. What's that about?
How do you feel about that? Yeah, what do you think that means?
Related, so I'm either thinking they're brothers, or they're like cousins, or somehow in the same family, and they were like separated.
If they were, how do you think they would react to it?
I think calmly, and then just kind of like brush it under the
Meripen
rug.
acting calmly towards Cam?
Meripen?
And then just maybe not make a big deal out of it, and just be like, okay, like, this is a thing, and let's just
all right.
Well, I guess
see
we'll
where
see.
it goes. Is there a reaction?
We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Saf. We don't know how they're related, but they have the same tattoo, so maybe they just belonged to the same clan at some point. Who knows?
No, but I just think it's so interesting, like, right off the bat, he, like, hates Cam, and he's so confrontational towards Cam. Like, why?
Well, that's Meripen with everyone, though, besides Winn. Let's be real. Like, he hates everyone.
He doesn't hate everyone. He loves Amelia in his own way. He loves Poppy and Beatrix in his own way.
Does he?
Yeah.
In his own way, which is the difficult way. Like, he doesn't...
He tolerates them.
He
as,
tolerates
like, little
people.
sisters. And
That's
siblings
right. That's right.
with the girls.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, love that Cam, you know, is intrigued, and Meripen is like, nope. Stay away from my family. Don't touch my sisters. Go away.
I just love when, like, I know we're jumping all over the place, but, like, when he finds out that Amelia and Cam had sex for the first time, he literally jumps out of bed and, like, literally was going to start a fight in front of, like, everyone. That's, like, Westcliff, Sebastian, I think, was there. Literally everyone was going to see this fight.
So let's actually discuss the story and the people.
Oh, yeah, maybe we should do that.
Oh, real quick before, remind me, and I'll see where I can fit this in our discussion.
Okay.
There were things that happened that are not in the audiobook.
What?
Yes. Can we actually jump right into this? 'Cause I noticed when I read this the first time, there was the whole thing about the kidnapping tradition.
Yeah.
When Cam comes in at night, takes her, quote unquote takes her, like it's very
Yes.
willingly, but and takes her away. That is not in the audiobook.
What do they say happened?
And I vividly, they just don't mention that it's the kidnapping tradition of the Rom.
Are you?
It's just
Are you
he
kidding
just
me?
arrives. Yeah, they take all of that away out of the book. So
Ask
I did
what else
notice
did
that.
they take away?
That's the only thing I noticed.
Okay, so what I noticed.
So wait, you went digging through the book as well to make sure?
So what I did.
S is not playing around.
No, she got receipts.
So I was listening, and there's certain things that I like when it comes to like the monster stuff that
Yeah.
can contribute to the podcast. Like I like to highlight or take a screenshot instead of like writing it down, you know? So I was able to get the ebook from my library, and there was a section where I was highlighting and I was listening and I was looking at the text. I was like, wait a minute, like this doesn't, what is happening? This doesn't, it was just completely different. So the section where this was around like 60%, where he's asking her to marry him. He's like, marry me and I'll restore Ramsay House. I'll return it into a palace. I'll turn it into a palace and we'll consider it part of your bride price. And then he talks about the Romani tradition.
Yeah.
And I think that's in the
not in the
audiobook.
audiobook.
But then it
Is
goes
it?
on. I think it is. And then I'll take care of you and your household, clothes, jewelry, horses, books, school, da 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 da. Wouldn't you like to see her well again? Talking about Winifred. And then she says, that's not fair. And then it like there's a whole chunk. This is a chunk. It says, in return, you have to do, wait. In return, all you have to do is give me what I want. His hand came up to her wrist, sliding along the lines of her arm. And then he says, she says, I would feel as if I made a bargain with the devil. And then he says, no, Amelia, just with me. I'm not even certain what it is you want. Cam's head lowered over hers. After last night, I find that hard to believe. So I like this whole section is just completely. And then there was a part where he talks about his past, about him sleeping with past women that were married. That whole chunk isn't in the audiobook.
Are you serious?
And it kind of made me think
point?
like was it made me think about his character and like, is it a good idea that they took it out? For me, the way it was in the book and that section that I read and what I learned from him from the audiobook, like it didn't match well.
What do you mean? Adding those the scenes that they took out didn't match his character?
Like him talking about him being with other women, married women and stuff.
So you feel like in this case it makes sense?
Like, no, for me it didn't make sense, like what I heard in the audiobook. If they would have left it in there.
No, what I'm asking is, so you think that taking those parts out of the story, as far as the audiobook, I was gonna sound real like audiobook, makes sense because it wouldn't fit his character description
From the audio, from what I read and what
from the character built through the audiobook.
Yeah.
So you feel like it still functions, like his character still works.
No. I feel like
the scenes.
Without it, it
without
works.
The character as far as the audiobook works.
Yes.
But then adding these scenes in just rewrites everything that you know about Cam.
Yeah, so me reading that, it just kind of it's not the Cam I know. Like it's just, I don't know. Like I don't want to know him being with other women, which is normal because he's a guy and he's been with women, you know?
I've read the book, obviously. And I listened to the book this time around, which is something I like to do when we would do these rereads. And am I annoyed? Yes. Was I looking forward to that kidnapping? Yes. It's a favorite trope of mine. And I love that it's faked in this instance.
Right?
It wasn't there. Which I don't understand why, because obviously, as I remember it anyway, in the original scene, it was all very much like, yeah, she was obviously willingly going with him. But anyways, maybe they took it out because it looked bad on the ROM and she just didn't want to, like, maybe she made that up and she felt bad and she wanted to go back and take that out because, like, it was maybe...
Let's do a fact check.
So the scene that you're talking about, the kidnapping, that isn't the scene...
That's their first night together when they go and have sex in, like, the camp, the abandoned camp. that the rum were in.
So what's in the audio is kind of fixed in a way where they just kind of go off for a few hours.
Yeah, they just go off, and she's just like following him, type of thing.
So
but
in the
book, yeah,
he kidnaps her.
Well, it's quote unquote a kidnapping. Like, it's just a tradition that the man goes and takes the woman that he wants and brings her back, and like they have sex and whatever. Like, that's just the tradition of his people. And then that was just taken out, like the fact that he mentions that that's their tradition and that's why he's doing it. But I will say that then when to him they are married, it doesn't make quite as much sense, because to him the tradition, that's what it meant. Like, you go and you take the bride that you want, and that means you're kind of married. Whereas in the audiobook, she just wakes up with that ring on her finger and she's like, huh, what does that mean? And he's like, well, obviously, like, we got married, which, like, it still, I guess, works, but I feel like with the whole tradition it made more sense, because like we knew what it meant for him.
So okay, so in the audiobook, they didn't have sex, but he put the ring on her finger?
No, they do have sex. They still do have sex in the camp.
But it doesn't show him putting the ring on her finger. She just kind of wakes up with the ring on her finger.
Yeah, no, but that's in the regular book too. Okay, fact check. So bride kidnapping has been practiced around the world throughout history, prehistory, and among peoples as diverse as, I can't pronounce the name, in Southeast Asia, in Mexico, and in the Romani people in Europe. Bride kidnapping still occurs in various parts of the world, but it's most common in Central Asia. And in most nations, bride kidnapping is considered a sex crime because of the implied element of rape, rather than a valid form of marriage. So maybe that's why she took it out, but at the same time, it's still very much a part of their culture, according to
and
online.
If it's super like explicitly said that she was going willingly, which it was, she was a willing victim, then why should it be tainted by an undertone that's not there?
And it's also not, like, it's tainted by, I guess, our perception of what this implies. The non-Romani people's perception of what happened.
Yeah, like, I remember it being all very playful. So I don't think that being in the book would have changed your perception of Cam as a character. Like, I feel like it fits, you know, how he is, and he's kind of, he plays games, you know, like that. Maybe the other stuff where it kind of sounds like he's trying to force her into, you know, having this relationship with him. Maybe that, you know, it wasn't necessary. But, you know, we said this we would go back and listen to our It Happened One Autumn episode if you haven't. That was a whole ride. A plot twist happened in the midst of that episode in which we discovered that we were being lied to. Yeah. Via the audiobook.
Because y'all thought I was lying and I made up scenes.
Yeah, and we thought we were right, which we were. Everybody was right in the end. Yes. It's the books and the audiobooks that were lying. Yeah. But what I think is important to say is two things, actually. First of all, it's extremely frustrating to have books like this that are edited, but not all versions of the book. Yes. So you can grab the ebook and then grab the audiobook, and it's two completely different stories that are being told. And that's incredibly frustrating to me. And the fact that it's not disclosed is even more frustrating, because you don't even know.
I agree with that.
We know because we have 3 perspectives here, thankfully, and 4 in that other episode. So we were able to fact check with each other, like, what did you read? What is it? Blah, blah, blah. But to, like, a regular reader, which I guess, like, maybe they don't care, like, they just read the book and they read it for what it is, and then they don't think about it ever again, which, that's cool. But, like, I feel like it should be disclosed. Like, I don't understand why it's not. It doesn't come with an author's note at the beginning saying, like, hey, I edited this book because blah, blah, blah was my reasoning, and I stand by that, and if you want to find the original copy, then just find a version that's older than this year or whatever, and that's it. That was my decision. Goodbye.
Yeah, like, because the way it's treated right now, I just feel like it kind of feels like it's a dirty little secret, you know, like everything that was taken out.
It does. That's exactly how it feels, and that feels wrong to me. That's an undertone that I do not want to
Yeah.
see tainting my favorite series, you know?
Exactly.
And the second thing is, I'm personally of the opinion that things shouldn't be taken out of books, no matter how bad it can be, because I believe in the history of this genre. I believe that it's important to leave these things in because it shows our growth as a genre and how far we've come. And if we can't go back and see where we were, we'll never be able to be proud of ourselves for where we are now. Like, I just think it's important to leave those traces behind us so that I just don't know, for history's sake, for the sake of the genre, for, you know, just I just don't understand why it should be taken out, you know. It's like erasing part of your own history. That's just, like you said, a hidden little secret. Like, we all know what romance used to be.
Exactly.
We all know where it started. So what's the point of taking it out? We still know that. So what is it doing, really? I just feel like this is trying to, like, I don't know. Like, romance is becoming so fucking tame.
Tell me about it.
So fucking tame.
And it's like they're focusing on the wrong things. Like, I don't know. Books that have been previously written, like you said, they just leave them. Just leave them as they are. Like, don't touch them.
So,
yeah.
I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that we have a lot of returning characters here.
Yes.
How do we feel about Westcliff and Lillian? They're the cool neighbors now, not just the cool friends. Also St. Vincent, Evie,
And Phoebe.
St. Vincent with his baby.
Yeah, Phoebe.
Oh yes! Oh my god!
Oh, the little paragraph he said about let me pull
He's
it up.
spoiling his daughter rotten.
When she was crying, right? That paragraph.
Yeah.
It says, "Their darling St. Vincent had been known to coo into the infant's ear. Has someone displeased you, ignored you? Oh, the insolence! My poor princess shall have anything she wants." And appeased by her father's outrageous spoiling, Phoebe would settle into hiccuping smiles.
Same
He
as.
spoils that kid
He's
so
such a
much.
daddy, a zaddy, possibly my
Yeah.
baby daddy. I love it. I love him.
Girl, same.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
girl.
such a hot dad.
And like he's even hot with his kids when they're much older. So
Mhm.
he
Yeah.
just, I said it before, Sebastian St. Vincent honestly ages like a fine wine.
He can get it at any age.
At any age, 90 years old, still getting it.
Can still
I
get
don't
it.
care. He would still get me. So
Yeah.
But yeah, Westcliff, Lillian, etc. Were you excited to see them back, S?
Yes, of course. So, Westcliff got his points back. So.
Oh, he lost them for what again? Oh, the cheating thing.
The cheating and the Christmas one, the little.
So how did he win
Yeah,
the
yeah,
points
yeah.
back? Tell us.
Yeah,
Just by
yeah.
being there, by helping out his neighbors, by offering them a place to stay, being neighborly.
Yeah. How did you feel about their presence in this book, though? Like, we go from seeing them as main characters to being supporting characters in this. And we
True.
also, like, we experience the Hathaways, and then Amelia is very much like, oh my gosh, they're going to shun us. Like, we're never going to be a part of this, like, you know, part of this group anymore. But, like, they still kind
Yeah.
of ignore that. And, like, Lillian's quick, like, right off the bat. She's like, honestly, like, we're crazy. You're crazy. Let's just all be crazy together.
Together, yeah.
How did you feel about, like, seeing that side of things? Like, were you expecting them to, like, cut them off?
No. Actually, no. There was that
I mean,
moment where,
Leo?
no, where, I think it was where the bomb exploded, the fireworks or whatever.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
Westcliff is kind of like, oh, well, no one told me you guys were coming back or something like that. Like, he was being a little,
Territorial.
yeah.
Well, because he needs to know things. He's like that guy.
Westcliff fucking knows everything.
Yeah.
Because he makes it his job to
Yeah.
know everything.
So there was that little moment where I'm just like, But no,
Yeah.
he was cool. He was being neighborly
Yeah.
and he got his points back.
Yeah, I love that he's being a progressive king in
Yeah.
all of these books.
He is, yeah.
Always,
love him.
you know, fighting for the change, fighting for the people,
Yeah.
fighting for, you know, I just love it. He's investing in like stuff that, the stuffy people of the ton are, looking at him like, how dare he invest in that? That's for the poor people.
And speaking of investing, we discover Cam has something of a curse where like he just keeps earning money. And he invests in things that he thinks or believes they're going to fail. And he's going to lose his money. But, like, he can't stop earning money. How did you feel about that little tidbit?
I have a theory that I literally just thought of on the spot.
Let's hear it.
His latest investment is the Hathaways. He invests time and emotion into this family. And they're going to get back together and become happy as a family again. Could that be
another, like, part of the good luck curse?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a time where it was a blessing, not a curse.
I mean, it's always a blessing. He just doesn't see it that way. But, I mean, making money, to me, not a curse.
I wish I could just throw money away and then get double what I threw away. Yeah. You know? Like, lucky guy.
That's the life I want to live.
But see, that's another, like, sort of mystical aspect to the story that she threw in there.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But, like I said, a lot of it then, kind of is based on, I don't know how to explain it, but like a lot of it is like kind of like, well, yeah, that's explained by the fact that he's got this curse and he's just going to make a lot of money now and they're going to be out of debt and, trouble.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
How did you girls feel about him kind of, after they slept together, him kind of like taking over and making
the
plans,
family,
and making plans with Westcliff and St. Vincent?
Yeah, actually, I want to throw that question to you. Answer it, please.
So if I'm thinking about Amelia, I think I would be annoyed, personally. Yes. Very annoyed.
For sure.
But then thinking about what she has gone through, what she needs to carry on her shoulders, it's nice to have someone willing to help out and kind of take over. So I'm like in the middle, like 50-50, like, what the fuck are you doing? And like, okay, thank you. I needed the help.
I don't know. Like you said, Amelia's character is very like strong-willed and like very independent. And just the idea of someone not even telling her basically that he's going to be taking care of like the rebuilding of the house after the fire happens. He's going to be taking care of like this and this and this. Yeah. And she's not expected to really like have a say or anything in that. And then I don't know. I just feel like that's a lot. Like, I mean, someone taking away all my decisions and like making everything, I guess like you said, he was like easing the burden from her, but like literally taking it all away. Yeah. I don't know, if Amelia would have been like the Amelia we knew from the beginning would have been okay with what was going on.
She wasn't though.
She wasn't. So, she did voice that.
It took her a long time, I feel like, for her to be okay with him helping her.
Yeah. So I know that's like in his personality and like that's what he believes, and he also believes like in his culture, like men are the people that kind of take these decisions, like these big decisions, and like he's supposed to be there to take care of his woman. So in his culture, that's just like how it's done. But I don't know. I just that was a lot.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks he's doing a bad thing, like you said. Like, he's very much doing it with the right intentions, but there was a conversation that was missing here. Yeah. Because to Amelia, when you have to rely on yourself for so much in your life, and there's so many people that are relying on you and you looking up to you, and I guess as a woman, maybe she was seeing this as like a sort of power, a sort of power that she wouldn't have otherwise in her life, and so she's holding on to that with reason, obviously, and then that's kind of taken away from her the second that a man walks into her life, which, like you said, there's this sort of dichotomy between like her feeling, there's a form of security in having that, presence in your life, but also something was taken from you without you agreeing to that.
Yeah.
Which is that's frustrating to her, which I totally understand. And like, I'm an Amelia in that situation,
Yeah.
Like, I constantly like, do I want a daddy, but also do I want to be independent and make my own money?
Yeah.
Questions.
Yes. No, I agree with that. And I have a question. Was, the scene where, so we didn't even mention Christopher Frost, which was her ex who left her for literally a bigger
lying
paycheck.
Bastard.
Was a scene where Cam was really jealous and like he got super possessive and like authoritative and like literally like had to fuck her because of like, you know, his jealousy. Was that in the like the audiobook?
Wait, what?
Like jealous, possessive fucking? I don't remember no jealous, possessive fucking.
But there was a scene where he finds out about like spending time with Christopher. Like she didn't tell him at all about the kisses or anything like that. But
Wait, there was kisses between Christopher.
I think he was trying to kiss her and she's like, "Nuh-uh."
I don't remember kisses.
Did we read a different book, guys?
Is this another situation of taken out?
I feel like it vaguely rings a bell, but I'm not like I can't really speak on the matter because I've read both. So like could be just my memory from
I remember
reading it.
him they're having a conversation and him confessing his feelings for her. And she
But was the conversation of him confronting her about Christopher's intentions in there at all? Like when he's like, "So wait, what do you mean you spent time with him? What do you mean you were alone with him?"
No, I don't think that that's in the book.
In the audio. I don't
The audiobook.
Then, guys.
No. No. This is where no. That's the line you do not cross, okay? You do not deprive me of possessive
agreed.
Cam staking a claim, okay? You do not deprive me of that.
See, and this was when
How dare you?
This is when I was like, because I didn't remember the side of Cam. And then this was when I was like, okay, now I see what Em's talking about. Like, now I see the, like, appeal of him. And it was taken out for you guys.
So I feel like the Cam that I got was, like, very mellow, calm,
Smooth. Like a smooth talker.
Smooth, yeah, but not too much where he's, like what the part that I read that he was, like, with married women and stuff. Like, it's two completely different Cams that...
Lisa, you have great men. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Why are you making them tame?
Guys, I'm actually really mad. I'm trying to think.
Who is this serving?
Like, am
Reddit?
I mixing up this with, like, Having to Hold by Patricia Gaffney? But I'm not.
No.
There was no instance of this type of situation.
No.
So it was Cam and Amelia.
Lisa!
And now I honestly believe she did, like, have a kiss with Christopher, but she pulled away, and that was also not in the book then.
You know what? I remembered the whole Christopher thing being way more intense than it was in the audiobook. Like, not intense, but just, like, more of a thing.
Yeah.
Than it ended up being in the audiobook. How did it feel to you, as? Because it was kind of like a thing, but, like, not really. It didn't go anywhere, really. Like,
It didn't feel like...
Right?
No,
really?
It didn't feel like it was anything that... I don't know.
Like, in my memory, he was really leading her on, like, making her believe that he, you know, might have had a thing for her again. And obviously she wasn't taking the bait, but, like, he was trying because he wanted to get to that, you know, what was behind the wall.
And and Cam was going off about, like, you know, when the fire happened, and, like, it was like he just was, like, venting all of his jealousy, and he's like, when he grabbed you, blah, 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 like, something like that. That was not at all talked about in this audiobook.
I don't think so. I do not think so. This is an experience, guys. And this is the sad part of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I need you going forward to read the actual book,
Books.
because you're missing out on so many good scenes.
Okay.
I'm actually really sad on your behalf.
Yeah. There is one scene of Amelia and Cam that is in another book that she better not have taken out, because I love that scene.
I don't remember.
So it involves the sentence, "You are gonna service your husband every morning." So
Wow.
if she took that out,
And
how many strongly worded letters have I written to Lisa Kleypas at this point?
At least 7.
She's gonna hear from me.
Well, I guess I answered my question. It was taken out. Thank you for that.
I believe so. Because that rings absolutely no bell to me right now.
Ew, I just thought of bells.
That will make no sense for our listeners. So.
No.
All right. Let's talk about Leo.
Yes.
The setup for his story, I guess. His story is probably the story that, like, has the most development prior to his book, you know, because he's really got a lot of work to do on himself.
And a lot of relationships to fix on his side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we mentioned Leo briefly when we were reading Again the Magic, because in that book, Gideon is, working through alcoholism. And we were saying that, it's not really explored in detail in that book because he kind of goes away. Here we have Leo, who is addicted to a myriad of things, including opium. He's just really trying to fuck up his whole life, is what he's trying to do. So it will be interesting to see his growth as a character, because here, there's 5 books. He's book 4. So, you got a lot of time to spend with him to see how that progresses. How are you looking forward to that, S?
Really looking forward to it. There was a section. Sorry, there was a section in the book where he got on my fucking nerves.
Oh,
where, I think Amelia is like really considering staying with Cam, and like he comes and like criticizes her and like you can't do this. I'm in charge of the family. Like, where were you for the past?
Where were you?
70% of this book.
Yep.
Shut up, little boy, and sit down, because that's what he is. He's still a little boy, even though he's the oldest. He's never taken on any type of responsibility.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, he's dragging his whole family to hell with him.
He almost burned them down. He
almost burned them down. Yep.
And like, I know, like, we need to recognize he's obviously going through a lot of emotional trauma, and he is like, drunk most of the time. But I also feel like he put them in danger numerous times, and that wasn't the first time, and like he still does it. And like, he does feel immense guilt for causing the house to burn down, and he does voice that. But he still like is in that mindset, and he still doesn't think of his siblings. And I obviously I've never been in that situation. I don't know how you go about it. But yeah, it's just, I think we need to acknowledge he just like doesn't care.
He's a constant disappointment, and he knows it, and he's past the point where he has the energy to care.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like, he has no fucks left to give.
No, none.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's a mindset that some people, they get to a point where that's how they feel. They just literally cannot care about anyone.
Yeah.
Like, they've been drained of anything and everything.
Yeah.
And that's where he's at. And how do you get to a point where you're able to love again? You're able to care about someone again. And who is that person,
Who
is that person?
Who? I know, I'm excited for you to meet this person.
I love his love interest.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, but I feel like there's a lot of growth that still obviously needs to happen, and I don't really remember like what he goes through in books 2 and 3, and obviously his own book 4. So I'm curious to see where we're headed, and like I remember like certain aspects of it, but I don't remember it all. But I don't know. There's just like a lot of apologizing that needs to happen, and a lot of just like growing and like forgiving each other through that, like through that all.
Kind of relating back to our Hellboy episode, weirdly enough. The point is that he has to now start choosing to make different choices.
Yes.
As long as he does, yes, he's disappointed his family countless times. He's let them down. He's dragged them through hell with him. But if he chooses to make the right decisions from now on, there's hope for him, and he's got people waiting for him to make those decisions, but they can't make them for him because they've tried and it doesn't work. What does he do? He runs out in the middle of the night and he fucks his way through a bunch of whores and does opium and whatever,
You can't, and I think even Cam mentions it, and like literally everyone mentions it. She, like, Amelia cannot, this is one situation and one person she cannot make decisions for. But I like that the book ended, like Leo's story in this book ended with like us not knowing like what's going to happen to him, and like if he chooses to live another day and like chooses to live a different type of life, because like, his story like ends in this book, and then when the second book comes, it's just like turning over a new page, and we get to see if he makes different decisions.
Yeah. You also can't blame Amelia for getting to a point where she's kind of given up too. Like, she doesn't believe in it. She's kind of moved on. She's kind of on the path to, I guess, wrapping her head around the fact that her brother wants to die and is probably going to kill himself, will most likely kill himself eventually, and that's just how it's going to end for him. You can't blame her for that.
No, you can't.
You know? It's just as hard for the people that have people like Leo in their life, you know?
And, like, honestly, like, putting yourself in Amelia's shoes, she's my age. She's 26. She is, like, kind of forced to be, like we said, a parental figure to these 4 siblings that she never thought this would ever happen. She's put her own happiness on hold. Or even, like, she doesn't even acknowledge it anymore because of, like, what happened with Christopher. I just feel like she has so much on her plate, and she must feel so overwhelmed that, like, yeah, I would be done with the brother that doesn't care. He doesn't want to live, so, like, you know, just let him do whatever he wants.
And poor thing, she was cock-blocked as well.
I know, Poppy! And about Leo again.
And about Leo, and, like, he wasn't even doing the deed. He stopped by to get a drink first, and, like,
Yeah.
she was cock-blocked.
To me, this is why, at the end of the day, I think Cam is, in fact, the perfect kind of man for her because, and we talked about this whenever it was that Daisy kissed Cam, you know, I asked, well, do you think they're going to end up with the right people anyway? And I don't know, did Daisy end up with the right person in your opinion, S?
She did.
And in this case, I think that's exactly the kind of men that Amelia needs because her life is so hectic and constantly, it's not about her, it's about everyone else around her. It's about keeping this family afloat. Yeah. It's about dealing with debt. It's about thinking about the future, thinking about what's best for her family while there's this asshole in the background that's dragging them all backwards when she's trying to move forward with their lives. And comes in this man who very much, like you said, Seth, lives in the present. He's very much ingrained in the present and let's take this moment right here, right now for us. Yeah. Let's take this moment for you. Let me take care of you. Let me give you in this moment what you need and take your mind off of everything else.
She got a daddy, is what she thought.
She did. She did. Lucky bitch. Anyways, we kind of briefly talked about Meripen and Winn, but the thing that, for me, really fucking kills me is when Winn was sick, she wanted to look outside. Oh, yeah. And every fucking day, Meripen would fucking clean her window because the sky must always be blue for Winn.
Oh, I love him.
I know, and, like, it was just she made an offhand comment, like, ugh, I wish I could see out my window. Right. And next thing you know, Beatrix is like, yeah, don't you know? He's in love with her. He cleaned her window every day in London.
Not a fucking speck on that window. Because, like, how dirty can a window really be if you're cleaning it every fucking day? But he was like, not a fucking speck in the sky for my Winn. Oh, my God.
He loves quietly, but, like, his little acts of love are so loud. And, like, Meripen, like, really breaks my heart with his love. It's just beautiful.
But she also broke that trust, you know, when he was sick and she forced him to take that medicine. She kind of broke that trust, so... But he would love her anyway, so, like...
He you know, got to live another day.
That sounded somber for whatever reason. Like, I don't know. Well, okay, something we didn't mention is, we kind of hinted at the whole, like, ring thing. So I wanted to know how you feel about the fact that he puts his ring on her, and to him, they're married. He doesn't tell her what it means. He's just like, yeah, we're married now. Or like, you know, she's very much against it. And she's trying to take it off at any opportunity. And he wants it back on her finger. And how did you feel about that whole dilemma?
You guys got the scene where he fucked it off of her, right?
With his mouth.
No, where he's like, you need to relax.
What the hell are you talking about?
Guys, when she's like, the ring's not coming off, and then they have another sex scene, and then, like, he's like, you just need to relax, and then as soon as, like, she's no,
never mind, that's
it came off.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. That's in the audiobook. Yeah. I thought he was inserting the fucking finger somewhere.
No, I wish, but no. No, but yeah, the scene where he like literally sucks off the ring. Yeah, you guys got that too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you worry, we got that. We got that.
All right.
But yeah, that was kind of him once again, like forcing himself in a way onto her, literally with a ring. So
how did you feel about the ring idea though?
I mean, I didn't think anything bad.
Hot.
Yeah.
And the amount of times it came off and like he had to like put it back on her.
Yeah.
And I love how it happened every time they had sex though. Like the ring had to be on her when they were having sex.
Listen, you know that meme where it's like the woman that's like her soul is levitating out of her body and it's like feminism leaving my body? That's me when I'm reading romance, okay? Like
literally me
feminism?
too.
Don't know her, okay?
Doesn't exist.
I'm reading for
Not
excitement here. I want the sparks, I want the passion, I want the wrong things.
Yeah, that is so me.
And that's one of them, Stake your claim, boy. Stake it. Put the ring on it. Put a ring on it. So that was hot to me. But, ask me in another context, which is not a romance novel, but like in real life, if a man was to do that to me, I would be like,
hell no. What?
Hell no.
I'll take the ring and throw it in the fire.
That is the equivalent to me of a public engagement.
No.
Anxiety. Intense anxiety. You don't do that, especially if there was no conversation prior and you're just popping the question like that. Boy, do not fucking do that.
No, but it's like, it's not even that. Like, okay, if we're like taking Cam and Amelia, inserting them in our world right now, today's world, that's it.
But we're not doing that though.
No, I'm just saying. But like the idea of him like literally taking the ring and like putting it on her finger and like not just once, but like numerous times. I mean, like, but anyways, it was hot in the book in the context of the story. Loved it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed every scene that revolved around the ring, and I know she enjoyed it too.
But there's also something so fucking sexy about a ring on a finger. I just gotta say.
Yeah.
Matrimony. It's hot. Something we didn't talk about, but you kind of hinted at it, and I do think it's a conversation we need to have.
Yeah.
Is the fact that for most of the story, Cam, he was, I guess, more or less thrown out of his clan. Is it called a clan? It's not called a clan.
I think they said tribe.
Tribe. He's, kicked out of his tribe by his grandmother, who's like, you gotta go, out there now. And he does.
I think she said that it's not safe for you.
Yeah, he does. He's taken in by Ivo, who was Evie's father, if you don't remember that or don't know that. And so that's how he meets Sebastian, Evie, etc. And he kind of makes a life in what he calls like the white world, the like Caucasian world. And he makes a name for himself, but he's always longed to go back to the life that he grew up in and that he loves, and that he wants to go back to his family, find those people again. And that's something that he seeks throughout the story, and it's part of why he doesn't want to involve himself with Amelia, because he's trying to get back to that life.
Mm-hmm.
However, the book ends with obviously him taking a step back and being like, never mind, actually, I'm fine with this new lifestyle. I have found a new family, a new tribe with the Hathaways, and he does, give up a little bit on his culture, or I guess finds a middle path where it's like he gets both at the same time. How do we feel about that?
He was like, from the beginning of the book, he was talking about like this restlessness he felt, and like how he felt like he needed to find his tribe, or just like just to live as the Romanis do, and like he was struggling with that. And I feel like that was valid, and I kind of was sad that he dropped that. But then once he said that he found his resting place, or his resting place, and he found home, and he realized what he was searching for was actually like a family, like you said, a tribe that can be his own tribe. It made sense, and I don't know, I liked that idea that he found his resting place with the Hathaways.
As long as he's happy with them and the whole gang. I mean,
It's always sad when a character has to give up part of who they
Yeah.
are and their own culture in order to assimilate more or less, really, to someone else's way of life.
but it was his choice, you know.
But
He,
yeah, it was his choice and it has to be respected, and like, you know, it makes me less sad in this case. But it's still like, I do think like whenever it's mentioned or whenever stuff like this happens in books, like it's kind of always like a little iffy just because of the weight that conversations like these
Yes.
have, you know, in our own world and throughout our own history of, you know, people like Cam being assimilated to a different way of life and being told that they are wild, that they are you know,
Yeah.
other. And so it always feels wrong because you want those people to be able to fully embrace who they are and who they want to be in their own culture. And so
Yeah.
to see him let part of it go, but you know, that's me superimposing my own like
No.
you know, experience in this
Yeah.
world, whereas like he's just a character existing in a romance
No.
novel. Like it's not that deep, you know.
I mean, I think it's valid to acknowledge the way that the Romani people are talked about in this book, because I feel like it comes up quite often. And it's like when he's like at Stony Cross, a lot of the people there were like kind of judging him and like they just thought he'd like obviously steal things from them. And like there was that lady that was sitting beside him at dinner and she was like deathly afraid of him. And I think we also need to recognize like Westcliff was okay with like Romani people because a few of them like had stopped on his land, and like he's like, okay, they can stay there just as long as they don't cause trouble. But then we also got Sebastian when Cam was like, I'm actually like quitting. I don't want to work there anymore. I want to like go live my life under the stars or whatever.
Yeah.
He kind of like was taken aback and he's like, wait, you would choose that over, you know, like a life, you know, like living under a house. And like he even called the lifestyle like uncivilized and like barbaric. And like obviously that's just like he's brought up that way. He's raised to think that, you know, the Romani people are.
He's also the man who called his wife a bitch. So
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
It's part of the character.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think we need to recognize that, like,
Yeah.
the time
Yeah.
and, like, the people of this world in this time, obviously, look at it as less.
Maybe it's easier, you know, that way. Like, there's also just the fact that, you know, he's got this money. He sees this family that's in need of his money. And maybe sometimes it is easier to blend in, unfortunately. You know, maybe that's the easier path. And if that's your decision, as long as it's your decision and not something you feel pressured to do, then that should be worthy of respect.
No,
So,
of course.
something else I wanted to bring up is the fact that literally all the men in this family do not see eye to eye. Like, there is
Yeah.
like, I feel like the gap in this family starts with the men. Like, Meripen and Leo, they fucking hate each other as well.
We got 3 different perspectives with all 3 different men, and
Yeah.
I'm curious to see them all. I mean, I've already experienced it, but I'm just, like, speaking on behalf of, like, people that haven't read it. But, like, I'm curious
Yeah.
to see, like, what their dynamic will be like now that Cam is officially part of the family.
Yeah.
But
Because
yeah.
all the women in this family are very close together. It seems like they all, you know, exist together, coexist together very
Yeah.
well. And yet it's the men that have like that bring in these like deep emotional wounds into the mix.
That bring the
And-
drama.
yeah, and it's mentioned that the reason why Meripen and Leo don't see eye to eye is because Meripen is the one who refused to let Leo die when
Yeah.
he asked to die.
Yeah.
That's fucking deep. That's some deep, deep shit right there. That how do you come back from that? I don't fucking know. Like, that's
Yeah. Like, how do you unpack that? Because
how do you
American,
unpack that?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't want Leo to die. Like, obviously he was raised with him. He knows the importance of Leo with the Hathaway sisters. He knows his importance, and he just didn't want Leo to die. But Leo's like, no, I want to be with Laura. Like, let me die.
Also, well, I mean, also, I fucking think that from Meripen's perspective, there was a little bit of like, you fucking did this to win, so you're gonna fucking live. And if she doesn't fucking live, you're gonna live with the fucking guilt. You hear me?
Yeah.
I feel like
No,
that was
see
part of
that.
that as
That
well. Like,
too, that
Meripen, an interesting character. There's some deep-ass emotional wounds among the men.
It's always the men.
It's
right?
I mean, patriarchy doesn't help them any more than it helps us. Like, it messes them up for real. Let's get into the monster of the story, shall we?
So what do you think the monster of the story is, guys?
For Amelia, I think it's just responsibility of the family.
Yeah, that she never asked for, you know? Like, it was just kind of thrust upon her.
And she takes it on really well. I mean, she tries her best.
Yeah.
And I feel like that responsibility stopped her from living her life and seeking happiness.
I mean, being a mom is fucking hard. Being a mom when you didn't choose to be a mom and you have to be a mom to your siblings
takes a toll, I feel like.
Yeah, it does. For me, I had, which is kind of related to what you just said, just her she needs to learn how to lean on people. And that's not easy, to trust people that much and to let yourself be vulnerable around them, because, you know, you mentioned, like, she won't even cry. She won't even let herself cry and process her own emotions because she's like, I don't got time for that. So to learn to have those moments, to let the others around her see that she's got cracks, you know, in her facade. It's not all like, I'm so strong and capable of doing all these things, because I think she puts up that facade for herself mostly because she needs to pretend like she is, you know, fake it till you make it type of thing. Learning to accept the help of others, which sounds so fucking simple, but it's such a hard thing to do.
It's hard to be vulnerable with other people. It's hard.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it kind of goes hand in hand with both of your ideas of what the monster was. Mine was like the emotional damage caused from like the past or like past events, and like we see that with Leo and Laura, and like how he's unwilling to let go of her, and like thus making him so dependent on all these substances, and also, you know, kind of keeping her there. You have Amelia vowing she'll never marry again, or like not marry again, but like marry at all in general, because of like Christopher Frost and like his betrayal and how much that hurt her and how much she's closed off. Like, she's literally closed that part of her heart off and doesn't want to, I guess, get married until like Cam comes around and like, you know, lessens that burden, and like you said, of raising her family and all of that. And then Cam, again, like his past of like, he wants to find his people and reconnect with like his culture and go back to his roots again. And like, he literally just remembers of being dropped off in London, and he doesn't know why or what happened or even what happened to his grandma. He doesn't know anything. And he still doesn't know by the end of this exactly
book, by the way.
And also because of his upbringing in London, it caused so many like pain, like so much like trauma to him, because poor guy like has lived his whole life feeling lesser than because of being brought up in London. And it does make him momentarily pull away from Amelia when he kind of like thinks to himself that maybe Christopher would be better off, you know, for her. But like he quickly like, you know, disregards that. But yeah, just like the emotional damage from the past.
Are Amelia and Cam gonna teach their kids the Romani way, or are they just gonna raise them like white kids?
I don't know.
Like, that's also part of the conversation. Like, is he just gonna, you know, let it go because it's just easier and simpler for them to, as, you know, people of the ton, because they are gonna grow up as part of the ton.
Yeah.
Or will he make sure to pass on that culture as well, because they are half Romani?
Is that something that we see or no?
I don't remember.
About their kids?
Yeah,
I don't remember either. But no, like, honestly, that was one of his worries too. He's like, Amelia, like, is she going to be okay with having a quarter of a Romani child? Because, like, we know,
yeah, that's true.
Cam is half Irish and half Romani.
Yeah. And I love that her response to that was like, are you okay with being a part of this fucking family?
Yeah.
Which is like,
yeah, like, our kids are going to be half Hathaway. Are you okay with that? Are you sure you're okay with that? Yeah.
I feel like half Hathaway that's really the question. Jeez.
I can't wait till you get to Beatrice, because I feel like her story is very interesting, and like, she's just such a vibrant presence throughout this whole series. And like, just like the lizard is just like the tip of the iceberg.
The tip of the iceberg.
But no, to be honest, I was kind of worried. I really thought Amelia was going to yell at her in that moment, you know, when like they kind of pull her away with Cam.
Right, and then she starts laughing.
They start
instead,
dying of laughter, which was great.
Yeah.
I love their dynamic. I love the Hathaway dynamic.
Can't wait to read more. Also, I'll be looking forward to a specific thing that happens in book 5 that if they took that out, I'm burning down the whole publisher.
Oh, wait, I think I know what scene. We obviously can't talk about it.
Yeah, we can't. But that's one of my fucking favorite scenes in all the books that I've ever read. That's one of my favorite scenes. All right?
So who's book 5?
Beatrix.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to obviously continue on with our read along with Seduce Me at Sunrise. That is Kev / Meripen and Winn's story. The pining shall finally end. Well, I guess it's not technically pining. She loves him too, so you know it's mutual.
It's just we didn't even mention it. She became very sick from like the scarlet fever, and it's not. She doesn't think, or she's been told that she'll never be able to have sex or like have children of her own. So she kind of knows she'll never have like that life, and so she separates herself from Meripen, and he stays away from her because obviously he doesn't want to kill her.
He doesn't want to break her with his dick.
Yes.
Pretty much. Anywho, so hopefully you'll join us for that. I hope you enjoy the book. If you do, you can find us online on Romance and Monsters Podcast. Wait, yes, that's exactly it. On Instagram. Also, the RTM Pod on Twitter. Romance and the Monsters Podcast at gmail.com if you want to email us. And TikTok is Romance and the Monsters Pod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why am I still hesitating after all of these episodes, honestly? You can also find us on YouTube at Romance and the Monsters Podcast. If you type that, you should be able to find us.
Mm-hmm.
If you would like to find me specifically, I am on both Twitter and Instagram at Foes and Lovers.
And you can find me as on both Twitter and Instagram at But This Book.
And you can find me, Seth, on both Instagram and Twitter at Pros with Woes. And also, if you want, and if you have the time, please feel free to leave us a rating or a review on any of the podcast platforms, and that includes SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, literally any of them. Honestly, it just feels good to see it. So,
and that is it. See you next week
with something else. Bye.